All right, welcome everyone. Looks like people are still joining, so we'll give it another minute here before we start. Good to have you all logging in here. All right, and let's get started with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Lady, Queen of Christendom, pray for us. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. All right. So we're just going to get started. I will do a quick introduction of the admissions team for any of you that don't already know who you're going to be working with here. And then I'm just going to go over step by step what the application process is going to look like, all 5 items that are required for a completed application, kind of go into how to submit all those, how to keep track of what's been completed, what hasn't yet, what you still have left. And then also, I hope to cover a lot of the questions that we frequently get for each of these steps every year. So hopefully at the end, you know everything that you need to. Do want to say, just starting out, that I'm sure questions will come up as I'm talking. No problem at all. Just make a little note of that. And then at the end, we'll have a time for you to ask your questions. You can just enter in the chat box. Hopefully by the time we've completed the presentation, I have answered all your questions already. But if not, like I said, there will be time to ask those at the end, and there's no time limit there. So I'll make sure that if you have a question, it gets answered. Also, this is just one webinar in a series that we're planning over this course of this upcoming semester. So if you go to our Next Steps webpage, there's like a whole schedule of webinars there, everything from our Rome program to financial aid questions to our extracurricular clubs and activities. So all kinds of helpful information that we're going to be doing between Mr. Tom McFadden, Mr. Sam Phillips, Mr. Van Marsh, and myself. And if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to hear webinar about, go ahead and let us know, and we'll see what we can do about that. But that, like I said, right here on our Next Steps page, dates, deadlines, standardized test information, links for helping you schedule visit requests, all that kind of stuff right here on the Next Steps webpage. So definitely utilize this. It will be very useful to you during these next few months. All right, so to begin, like I said, just want to introduce the team. So Mr. Sam Phillips, anyone who is here on the Best Week Ever program, you guys know Mr. Sam Phillips. He was giving lots of presentations. He's our Director of Admissions here. You've probably also been receiving lots of email communication from him over the past few weeks. He's the one who's going to keep you really updated on the big dates and deadlines, on events like this webinar, on standardized testing opportunities, all that kind of thing. And you can definitely feel free to reach out to Mr. Phillips with any questions you have. We pride ourselves here in the office on very prompt communication. So hopefully if you reach out, we get back with you very quickly. Then we have Miss Basha Siski. You probably also worked with her. She is the one who coordinates our Best Week Ever summer program. And if you, hopefully, when we have you back during this upcoming fall semester for your visit to get the visit scholarship, you will be coordinating that with her again as well. So she oversees all the visiting. That includes the open houses as well. So you'll definitely be working with her. And then we have Mr. Tom McFadden. He's the Vice President for enrollment here. So that means he is overseeing not only all the applicants, but also all the currently enrolled students. So he's pretty busy. He also leads the career development program here and teaches our EFL, Education for Life courses. So if you were to enroll here, you would be taught by him a lot of basic life skills, and then how to practice interviewing for jobs. And he would help you do your resume, get that going, possibly, connect you with different internship opportunities, all that kind of thing. So if you have questions about what you can do with a degree from Christendom College, he's the person you could go to. And that goes for parents too. If you have any career development questions, feel free to reach out to Mr. McFadden. All right, and then we also have our admissions counselors, and Ms. Erin Ginter, the data entry specialist. So myself and Mr. Ben Marsh, between the two of us, we are going to be following up with each of you on a much more individual basis. We're going to be walking you through every step of the admissions process. What you have submitted, what you have left to do, how to do it. You have any questions on any of the application items, going through financial aid, through depositing, through all that kind of thing. We're going to be following up with each one of you throughout the next few weeks. If you haven't received a follow-up call yet from your Best Week Ever visit, you will be soon. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Michigan as the oldest of 10 in a big homeschooling family. Loved it. Now I live here in Virginia, very close to the college. Absolutely love my job here. My favorite part of it is definitely working individually with each of you. So looking forward to that. That happens so much more during the fall semester as you guys are applying, and I'm really excited to get to know each of you better. And then, like I said, Mr. Ben Marsh doing the same thing. If I'm not your admissions counselor, then he is. And he also does a lot of our high school outreach, so you may have already seen him presenting at your high school potentially, either him or Mr. Sam Phillips. And then lastly here, we have Miss Erin Ginter. She's our data entry specialist. So in working with Blackbaud, hopefully not, but there's a chance you might at some point experience login issues. Not sure which email address is connected with your student portal or forgot your password, anything like that. Any Blackbaud issues, Miss Erin Ginter is the one to contact there, and she can help you out with that. All right, let's get into this. So why should you apply early for the Visit Scholarship? So hopefully, we've said this so many times that you can pretty much dream the requirements for the Visit Scholarship. But to earn yourself the $8,000 Best Week Ever Scholarship, $2,000 a year for all 4 years, which is a change from the past years. It used to just be $2,000 towards freshman year, so it did go up this year, which is great news for you guys. Number one, you have to complete your application by October 1st. This is a deadline that is only being offered to you guys. This is a scholarship only being offered to you guys who were here with us for the summer program. So a completed application. What does that mean? Not just the application form, but all 5 items that are required to have a completed application. So that's going to be your application form, the essay, standardized test score report, and also an academic letter of recommendation and your high school transcript. We'll go over all those things more in depth in a moment here. So a completed application, and then an official visit to campus anytime between September 5th and December 1st. So you visited last year, that is awesome, but that wouldn't count towards it. You want to apply for Powdered Peel, we would love to have you apply if you have qualifying scores, but that wouldn't count. It does have to be a visit during the fall, this upcoming fall semester. And one thing to clarify, this does not need to be by October 1st. So again, anytime up until December 1st. The application has to be by October 1st, the visit could happen after. And that is what you would get, $8,000 4-year scholarship, $2,000 per year. So come back and visit, and hopefully we can get your application by October 1st too. So again, going over those 5 steps, the online application form. This is something you should do today. The sooner you apply, the more, so to speak, kind of on the radar you are. The admissions committee is going to see that early interest. That's great. That's a really good boost for your application. So as soon as you can turn this in, you should do that. The application form has been separated from the application essay this year. So this is another change from previous years. So we actually separated them so that the form is something you could turn in even sooner, even easier to fill out. It's just going to be some personal, parent, school information, and then we want to know about your extracurricular activities too. But that is now, like I said, separate from the essay. So then step 2 would be an essay. The prompts, basically, we want to know why you're interested in Christendom, specifically Christendom. And then the official SAT, ACT, or CLT score report. We do need an official report. This is a requirement. This is not optional. That's a big thing That is not always the case at all colleges anymore, especially since COVID. But we still do require this. So an official report by any one of those 3 tests is perfectly fine. 4th item, an academic letter of recommendation. We're going to go much more into that in a moment on what exactly we're looking for, what's the difference between an academic letter and a personal letter, and then using the specific form that you are going to see on your student portal. And then finally, your high school transcript. We know you haven't completed senior year yet, not an issue. We're just looking for 9th, 10th, and 11th grade there. And we can help you out. Again, I'll go into some frequently asked questions about the transcripts here in just a moment. Before we move on though, we do have some minimum scores that we're going to want to see. So to be considered for admission on October 1st, you would need not only those 5 items submitted, but also the score report does have to meet these minimums. If it does not, no worries. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be admitted into Christendom, but it's going to be a little bit more of a process, and you wouldn't be considered for the October 1st deadline. But again, we will get into that in a few minutes here. All right, testing. This is so big, and this is not something that can be put off to last minute, which is why we're going to be talking about it leading up to this. So if you hadn't submitted your essay yet and it was 2 days before October 1st, not too big of a deal. You could still do it right. But that's not asking you to wait until 2 days before to submit the essay. But the testing does have to be done further in advance. So we're just bringing these last dates to your attention. These are the last few tests that are being offered that you could still have a school report back from in enough time to meet the October 1st deadline. I recommend, if you have not tested, sign up right away for one of these tests and go for the earliest one possible. Why? Because just on the chance that something goes wrong, maybe it's even like a technical issue. We've had that before too, for sure. And you don't have a score that meets the minimums, you could have a second chance, right? So please, 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 if you haven't taken a standardized test, go ahead and sign up for one of those. So we just list the next couple of dates here. Like I said, August 17th and September 16th, there's going to be CLT exams being offered. ACT, there's one more being offered on September 9th. SAT, one more being offered on August 26th. That one, only late registration is still an option, actually. So if you want to take an SAT, you'd really need to get in there quickly. One thing to note is that the ACT and the SAT often take a lot longer to get score reports back out to you than the CLT does. Not an issue. So if you take one of these tests and your score report comes in, even if it's like a couple of days after October 1st, we can still count that. It might delay you hearing back from us by a little bit because we obviously can't give you a decision till we do have that score report, but we could still make it count for the deadline. All right, so I'm going to kind of log in for you guys here as if I were a student. Here, give me just a second. Okay, so I'm just in a kind of a dummy student portal here so that I can go through each of these steps with you guys. This is what your student portal should be looking like right now, unless you've already submitted something, which is even better. All right, so let's begin with the application form. And again, I'm just going to go through this with you guys step by step. So as soon as you hit start on this application form, this is one thing to note is that you are going to have to select which application you want to fill out. Make sure you select fall 2024-2025 because that is the semester you guys are applying for, right? The only reason that there is still an option for the other one right now is that we actually still are accepting applications towards this year. We are full, but technically you could still submit an application for fall 2023. But you guys will be going for 2024, so getting started here. Like I said, there's no longer an essay connected with this. So to begin with, just some pretty basic personal information, looking for your name, date of birth, some contact info, all pretty straightforward here. I'll point out this step right here. So on campus, boarding or off campus stay, this is an option you'll have to select here. like it says, you are expected to live on campus freshman through senior year unless you meet specific requirements. So if you have questions about that, if you're thinking that maybe, you know, there is an exception that you qualify for, you can feel free to reach out to us. But in general, students do live on campus here. It is hard to get an exception just because the integrated Catholic community is such an important aspect of what Christendom is, right? So to have that stronger community, we generally require the students to live on campus. So just going to, note that. You really won't have any options here. You're filling out an application for fall of 2024 as a freshman. So, all right, then we're gonna have some family information. How many children living at home, siblings currently attending or interested in Christendom College. This helps us draw connections. And if you have a younger sibling who is, you know, almost a junior or senior, kind of potentially interested in Christendom, that puts them on our radar, so to speak, so that we can reach out to them and we know they have that interest, so that would be helpful. Note that if you already have a sibling who has attended or is attending the college, it could automatically fill in these boxes actually. So don't be surprised if that shows up, just means they're already in our system. Parent information. All again, pretty straightforward, looking for their address. This is another area which might automatically populate if you, again, have a sibling here, or maybe based on information that you filled out for us for the best week ever, things like that. So could already be filled out. High school education. All right, looking for the schools that you've attended. If it's more than one, please tell us more than one. This is great to know. Hopefully the school you attend is here, because there's quite a few options here, but if not, there's the option to list a school of your own. Maybe you have a specific homeschool program or something that isn't listed. You can definitely enter that in yourself. So go through that. If there is, again, like I said, more than one school, you have the option to enter more than one. GPA, this is not required. It is required on your high school transcript though, but if you don't want to or don't remember what it is, not needed to be listed here. Private, public, or homeschool. Standardized testing, okay, again, not a required field. If you do know your score, if you've taken a test already and you know your score, that is great, and please tell us whatever your highest score is, but we do still need the official score reports. So it is not a one or the other. Please send us those scores. And we're even going to double check that with you right here. All right, college interest. So if we are the only school that you're applying to, that is great. We are thrilled that we are your one and only option. If you are applying to other colleges though, which is probably the case, it would be great if you could tell us the rank and then the other colleges that you're looking at. This is super helpful for us, just gives us a better idea of where else you're looking, what you're interested in. Are you looking at other Catholic liberal arts schools? Are you looking at other colleges with similar majors to us? You know, whatever it might be, it just gives us a much better idea of what you're looking for and what your goals are, and tells us how we can better help you out and kind of outline for you the differences between these colleges and just kind of help you see what each one is offering so that it's easier for your discernment. So. All right, dietary accommodations, there's definitely things we can do to work with you there. So please let us know if you want to hear more about that and we can help you out there. Tentative major, we're not holding you to this in any way, just again shows us what you're interested in. And then please let us know if you're interested in applying for need-based financial aid. So as many of you may know, we do not accept federal funding. That being said, we certainly do still offer need-based aid for families who are in a position to qualify for that. It's just funded through Christendom through our own donors instead of being funded through the federal government. So still offer need-based grants, need-based loans. If you want to apply for that, please select yes, and we will make sure that happens. That would happen after you apply and potentially are accepted. And then your t-shirt size, so that if you're accepted, we know what t-shirt to send. All right, and then here we go, extracurriculars. Like it says, we're looking for well-rounded students. Part of what Christendom offers is a whole person formation that's socially, that is intellectually, that is physically. We want to know what you are doing outside of the classroom. So athletics, maybe you are on a volleyball team, you've been swimming since you were 2, you do, maybe you're not as much into sports, maybe you do Irish step dance, anything like that could go here. I remember reviewing a couple applications where the students had done fencing for a while, super cool, right? So that is an example of what we'd be putting here, what we're looking for there. Civic and political. Let's see, different examples would be maybe you're involved with the Boy Scouts, you're in the Civil Air Patrol, debate club, anything like that. That's the kind of thing we'd be looking for there. Liturgical and spiritual, that's pretty straightforward. Maybe you help teach CCD. Maybe you, help with sacristy work around your parish, anything like that. Could go there. Music and the arts, again, pretty straightforward. Definitely there could also be some overlap here. So I've had people put dance in athletics. I've had people put dance in fine arts. It does not matter. It's totally fine. Volunteer and work experience, any jobs that you've been working in high school. That does include, babysitting or daycare. Absolutely. It's the kind of thing we're looking for. Maybe you've done mission trips, anything like that. And then other talents and hobbies. I don't know, you head up a magazine, you do editing for them, anything like this that you don't feel would fit into the other categories can go right here. But fill that out, get creative. We're not looking for an uploaded resume necessarily. If you want to do that, you could potentially do that and just upload that separately, but this is not a resume, just to be clear. We're just looking for extracurriculars kind of just listed out, and feel free to get into detail. And then please tell us what made you apply. If there's any people, especially, we want to hear about that, and what it is about Christendom specifically that you're interested in. How'd you get Christendom? If you are interested in playing on one of our varsity sports, so this is not for intramurals, right? If you're interested in actually joining a sports team, please let us know, and then you can fill out right here this little Christendom Athletics recruitment form, and one of our coaches will get in touch with you. All right, going back, just gonna be looking for signature. Obviously this does have to, well here, let's see. Okay, we're gonna get back out of this, go. Okay, so gonna move into the essay here. This will be a little more straightforward. So what it's gonna give you here, when you hit this, you're going to have this little download button right here. You click on that and it's going to download for you the essay prompts. Again, it's going to be speaking or asking questions like, why are you interested in Christendom specifically? We're looking for not just a common app essay that you could download into 6 different colleges essay requirement boxes. No, we're looking for something specific to Christendom, right? So what is it about our unique community? Christendom is very different from other colleges. We want students who are willing to put in the effort, who are interested enough in what we are offering to put in the effort to do an application specific to our college, right? We're a small school. We don't want 100,000 applications. That would actually be pretty stressful, to be honest. But again, we want students who are interested enough to do something specific for Christendom. So what is it about the community? What is it about the academics? What is it about the mission? So you just download here. You can write the essay up on like just a Word document and then upload it right here. Please know that there's a 500-word minimum. This is not 500 characters. This is 500 words. That has definitely come up in the past. So I am going to just be specific about that right here. 500 words, please. All right, and of course, this does have to be your work. I know that, with the software and how clever it's getting these days, some colleges are having to kind of start watching for that, that automatically generated essays, things like that. And obviously, I'm sure in this group, we shouldn't need to worry about that. But just to say, yeah, it does have to be your own work. Obviously, that doesn't mean you can't have someone proofread it. Please do have someone proofread it. If you can write up your essay and then ask a teacher or a parent or something to look over that for you, that is a great idea, and you should. But it does obviously have to be your own work. Okay. High school transcript. Like I said, this is going to be 9th through 11th. If you are homeschooled, feel free to use your own format if you have that already. And if not, we do actually have our own homeschool transcript template, which I would be very happy to share with you. You can also find it on our website. So feel free to fill that out. 9th through 11th, trying to think if there's anything in specific there. Don't usually get too many questions. You can upload it directly here. You could request it to be sent directly from your school, contact them, have them send it directly to us. And that also works. If you go that route, please have them send it to admissions with an S at christendom.edu. You can also send it to your admissions counselor. Like I said, we can be a one-stop shop for you there. If you're not sure who to go to, just go to your admissions counselor and we can definitely help you out and make sure that transcript gets to where it's supposed to be. And also, if you're not sure who your admissions counselor is at this point and you have questions, you can ask anyone in our office. We'll be able to tell you and put you in touch with them. So, okay. Let's see here. Academic letter of recommendation. Okay, I'm going to click start here so you can see what is going to come up here. Recommend your name, recommend your email, and additional comments. Okay, so what you want here, let's say you're asking your teacher, we're going to call him Mr. John Brown. All right, so you put his name right here, his email address right here, and then this is what this is going to look like. So it's going to have his name up here, Dear Mr. Brown. It's going to be a request coming from our data specialist asking for, letting them know that you are asking them for an academic letter of recommendation. And then you would just send the request down here. What they're going to get is our own specific academic letter of recommendation form. This is really important, is that we do need this specific form. There are definite things that we want to ask them about as relates to your academic abilities. So if they have already written you 6 letters of recommendation, that is absolutely great, and you are welcome to submit all 6, but we will still need this actual form though. So let me get back out of this. Like I said, other ones are welcome, but we do require that one in specific. Let's say you're homeschooled and you don't have any classes with a teacher other than your parent, no problem. Parents can definitely do this. They are your primary teachers, that's great. It does have to be someone who can speak to your academic abilities though. So say your choir director, not so much. Your parish priest, not so much, unless maybe he had you for an apologetics class or something, and then that is totally fine. But it does, like I said, has to be a teacher. It's an online teacher, that is also fine, as long as they are grading your work and they can see, you know, they can speak to how you perform academically. That is absolutely fine. Personal letter of recommendation and additional academic letters of recommendation are optional, but you're very welcome to do it. And the personal letter of recommendation, so this, for anyone who is wondering just kind of what the difference is, the academic, again, more to your academics. Person would be more speaking to your character. So again, maybe your parish priest, you've worked with him on a lot of volunteer projects, and he's like, oh yeah, you're a great worker, great leadership skills, you know, very charitable, whatever. It's that kind of thing. Maybe you helped with a mission trip again, and the leader of the mission trip wants to recommend you again based on your character and your, I don't know, your work ethic and how you interact with others, right? So can be totally helpful, not required. Just the academic letter is required. Standardized test scores. Okay, here's the big one. So, like I said, we accept any one of the 3 tests that I named earlier. This one does have to be official score reports. So, for example, the high school transcript does not need to be official. The score report does. Some take longer to send than others. If you have a score report, please send it. So maybe you took it and it didn't go as well as you were hoping, and you want to take it a couple more times to try to boost your scores up before you submit it. Please just send. There will be plenty more opportunities later on to take further tests, but we want to see whatever you have in right now. Just so we have it on file, we know you have something. It is not in any way going to hurt your application if you send in a lower report and then send in another higher report, not in any way. First of all, it can actually help because we super score. So for anyone who is not familiar with super scoring, basically the way that works is, let's say you take the CLT twice. And there's 3 different sections. There's a grammar section, there's a verbal reasoning section, and there's a math section. So the first time you do really well on the math, not so great on the verbal reasoning and the grammar. The next time, the overall score actually goes down, but you did way better on the grammar and the verbal reasoning sections. So what we would do is we would take the math from that first test and then the verbal reasoning and the grammar from the second test and combine them. So you would have a super score higher than either of your individual scores. So it can really benefit you to turn in multiple scores, even if, let's say you were taking it for the second time, you got lower than the first time. Again, that can help you. A lower score could boost your super score. And we award scholarships and everything based on the super scores. So please send us as many reports as you have. And again, it will not damage your application at all. Mr. Ben Marsh and I are here to make sure that when we present your application to the admissions committee, it is as strong as it could possibly be. So if there's a score report that you had submitted that isn't going to help, that's not, we're not going to even take that into account, right? So please send us whatever you have. Okay, let's say you have a score report that does not meet the minimums. So to review, that's a 1,000 on the SAT, a 64 on the CLT, or a 19 on the ACT. So what we would do is, first of all, hopefully get you in for a second test really fast before October 1st deadline. But if that didn't happen and we get to the October 1st deadline and you have low scores, what would happen is you wouldn't be considered for admission on the October 1st deadline. We'd be pushing that back to a later deadline, hopefully taking more scores in the meantime. But if it ended up that we weren't able to get those scores up, that's where these steps down here would come into play. If applicable, 2 writing samples. If applicable, an additional letter of recommendation. So this additional academic letter of recommendation would be required if you had those scores. And then we would also ask for 2 writing samples, just from, could be any, it's something you could write up specifically for this, or it could just be samples of previous schoolwork that you've done. But basically you would need to submit these extra 2 tests, and then we would have to present a special case, so to speak, to the admissions committee, and there would need to be different steps to go through and everything. So basically, bottom line, you wouldn't be considered for October 1st. If we got to the later deadlines and we still didn't have test scores that met the minimums, we would do these extra 2 steps, and then it kind of just be a special process that is unique to each applicant. So it's kind of an idea of what would be happening there. Okay. And then that is pretty much going to cover it. College transcript, if applicable. Again, that is not required, but if you've been doing dual enrollment classes or something, go ahead and send us your college transcript. If you decide you're interested in attending and you're accepted and everything, at that point, we could talk with our academic dean about transfer credits. So, okay, that just about covers it. Going a little bit more into the visits though. So again, October 1st deadline, we need all 5 of those items submitted in order to be considered for admission at that time. And then the visit requirement. So basically the way this would work is so the visit request actually opened up today as well as the applications. If you go to our Visiting Christendom webpage, you will see the option to sign up. There's different visiting options. You could submit a request form for a day visit or an overnight visit. You could potentially stay up to 2 nights. What that basically looks like is you come, we assign you to one of our wonderful student ambassadors, and you just shadow them for the day and go to their classes with them. You go to the 11:30 mass, eat lunch with the rest of the community. I've gotten asked if like the meals and the board, if you're staying in the dorm, is our fees for that? Absolutely not. This is all totally free. We're very happy to have you here. We can also provide shuttles to and from the Dulles Airport, if that would be helpful if you're flying in. And an open house also meets the visit requirement. So if you want to bring the family up, if parents want to come, if there's other high school students and you want to come for an open house instead, that would count towards qualifying you for the Best Week Ever scholarship. We usually host one open house a month. There will be one in October, specifically oriented more towards homeschoolers, although it's open to anyone. But that is also an option, and those request forms are also on the Visiting Christendom webpage. Right. Before I move out of this, I do want to say one more thing too. Our application items, all of these can be submitted individually. So you're thinking that maybe you should wait to fill out the application form because you don't have your score report, your transcript ready yet. Absolutely not. Please submit whatever you have. They can all be submitted one at a time, and we just want to see them in. I, again, cannot strongly enough encourage you to submit that application form in specific as soon as you possibly can. But we want to see everything in, and the sooner you have it in, the better for sure. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here and see what questions I have. Wow, lots of questions already. This is great. All right, am I able to submit more than one academic letter of recommendation, even if I have already met the standardized test score requirement, or do you just want one? Great question. Again, you are definitely able to. We would love to have you do so, but it is not required. So if you think that it would strengthen your application, absolutely go for it. You're welcome. Does an official visit count if it is done over the weekend? That is a great question. So no, in short, so it has to be a day that class is in session, because we want you to be able to sit in on classes and get that experience as well. So you could come in as early as a Sunday afternoon and stay overnight, shadow classes on Monday. That is an option. We have a lot of people do that actually because they want to coordinate their visit with maybe a debate, which always happens on Sunday evenings, or swinging Sundays, which also happens on Sunday evenings. So you can totally feel free to coordinate your visit around anything you want to be here for. So Sunday afternoon would work, but we do not host overnight Friday, and we don't host Saturday during the day or overnight. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday during the day. For standardized testing, do they put in the 2 highest scores? Again, we're going to put in whatever score helps you the most. So that is usually a super score. Again, send us as many score reports as you can, but we're going to submit one score. It's going to be your highest super score. Should we enter a weighted or unweighted GPA? We accept weighted GPA. So you can totally go for the weighted. When you update your standardized test scores on My Christendom, does it update your application form? If not, must you manually update your form? Don't worry about manually updating your form. It does not automatically update, but we're going to be your admissions counselor, be keeping an eye on the score reports. And when we look to see what your highest super score as of the moment is, we're going to be looking at the actual official reports you've sent us. So it will not, you don't need to worry about updating the application form. All right, question. If I plan to enroll in college in fall 2025, would I still be eligible for the Best Week Ever Visit scholarship? Another great question. It is not guaranteed. We sometimes do that, but it's something we would discuss on an individual basis, kind of student by student. Does the applicant send the official high school transcript, or do you need to receive this directly from the school? I think we covered that. Doesn't have to be an official version of the transcript as long as it has the GPA on it. So it can either come from you or it can come from the school. Okay, good question about, let's see, looks like the Christendom app only asks for the composite score. Please clarify about super scoring and how this should be filled out. Composite score, I would recommend just putting your highest individual score on there. Again, if we have multiple score reports, though, we'll be keeping track of your super score. If you know your super score, that's fine too. It doesn't either way is fine. People generally just do the individual, the highest individual score. Is there an annual public safety report available? Okay. That is something, if I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for, if that's more specific to the campus or to the town, but if you want, I can reach out to you individually and we can kind of go into that a little further. If it is in reference to campus, I would just say we do have 24/7 campus security. We've never had any big issues as far as security goes on campus. Does Colby Academy Online count as a private or homeschool? Colby Academy, so that would count as a homeschool program. Should the text boxes you fill out for athletics, music, arts be answered in a short essay or just a list? Either way is fine. Some people do just kind of list it more resume style and just kind of give us like bullet points. This is this, this is this. If you wanted to kind of go more into detail and do it as a paragraph though, that is fine too. No preference on our part. It doesn't need to be a whole essay though. It's nothing that formal. Transcript has to be official, went through that. Okay. Is there a place we can get a copy of the letter template so as to give the recommender an idea in advance? There is not. You could, I mean, he's kind of going to be able to see. It's basically going to be just questions as far as like, you know, rate on a scale of 1 to 5 your writing abilities, your, you know, class participation, things like that. So we just ask him to rate 1 to 5 on a couple different fields. And then at the end, there'll be a whole section where he can put in additional notes in case he wanted, you know, he had his own things that he wanted to specifically highlight as far as your academic strengths. So kind of gives you a rough idea, but no, I'm afraid we don't have a copy of the letter template. Are the letters of recommendation kept private from the applicant? Not necessarily. Is there a way for my recommender to send them privately? So basically, this is actually a good question. I should have gone a little more into this. So the way it works is that when you send the academic letter of recommendation request, he's just going to receive an email with the template in there. He fills out the template and then he just hits submit, and then it comes directly to us. So, I mean, you could certainly reach out to them. I'm actually not 100% sure if you can view that once he submitted it, but I can get back to you. How does the student's personal income influence tuition and other costs? So that's a good question. So where this will come into play is for need-based aid. So scholarships obviously have nothing to do with your income. That is just how great you did on the test. So standardized testing, if you get, for example, an 84 on the CLT and you apply and are accepted, you're going to automatically receive the Dean's Scholarship. Doesn't matter how many other students get an 84 on the CLT, you're still going to get the Dean's Scholarship. So there's not a limited number of those or anything. For need-based aid, actually your income still wouldn't influence that because need-based aid is based off of your family's finances, your family's like the tax information. So basically, in short, no, it would not. But your parents' income would certainly influence like the aid you're receiving. Obviously tuition isn't going to change, but how much you would be paying would certainly depend on how much aid you qualified for. If you have more than one academic letter of recommendation, would you upload one in the academic letter of recommendation field and then the rest of them in the additional academic letter of recommendation field? Yes, that's correct. So whoever you want to be your primary recommender, you would send them the academic letter of recommendation form. And then if you want to ask a few other people for academic letters of recommendation as well, you would send the additional field to them. Upload the transcript yourself. All right, another transcript question. So just to clarify, you can upload the transcript yourself, not a problem at all. Or you can contact the school and have them send it to us, admissions@christendom.edu, or just to your admissions counselor. So either way is perfectly acceptable, no preference. And then just to clarify as well, if you were to email it to us, we would upload it onto your Christendom student portal, so you'll be able to see that. So whenever you complete a step, it's going to show as complete. There'll be like a little check mark there and everything. If it's not, it'll still say waiting, or there'll still be the start button there. So that's how you can kind of keep track of what you've done so far and what you have yet to do. When you send us scores, or if you were to email a transcript directly to us, we would upload it there and it would show as completed, so you could still keep track of that. If you want to take advantage of the price match program, does this need to be turned in by October 1st as well, or does this process happen later? Great question. We actually don't offer the price match program, haven't in the past year or so, just because basically it wasn't always 100% that we'd be able to match every offer 100%. So just for better clarity, we stopped calling it that, just so we didn't confuse parents or set unrealistic expectations. So now we work much more on an individual basis with families, financially speaking. This is where, again, your admissions counselor would really be working through you at that point in the year. We're trying to advocate for you, get you the best deal possible, financially speaking. But we don't officially have the price match program. So anything financial aid related is going to come after you apply. And if you're accepted, at that point, you would fill out the need-based aid. We'd look at the scholarships you have, and we kind of start working from that point. Am I able to, okay, we got that, sorry. Is there a way to sit in on a specific class while visiting, say a political science class? Great question. Yes, absolutely. So at the bottom of the visit request form, if you're submitting a day or an overnight visit, I recommend overnight if you can, you would have the option to request a particular class. If that's something you're interested in, say political science, just say, hey, I'd like to be able to sit in on a political science class, and we will do our best to accommodate your requests. Generally, we're just going to try to get you a lineup of classes that is just a good sample of our core curriculum, but we can take, again, requests into account. Also, if there's a friend here that you really want to see, maybe you would like them to be your ambassador, you can request specific ambassadors, or maybe you're really interested in the music program and you want to meet with the choir director, something like that, so we can, again, we do our best to accommodate requests. So just make a note of that on your visit request form, and we'll see what we can do. Just to clarify, I do not have to enter my GPA or test score on the application form if either is not available at this time. Correct. GPA will be required on the transcript, and the test score and official report will eventually be required as well, but none of them has to go on the application form. So just get that application form in here. All right, question on high school transcripts do not have to be official, and what exactly does that mean? Good question. So if you are asking for your transcript from a specific high school, for example, if you just have like a random copy of it, a lot of the time will even say specifically unofficial, that is fine. So for in some cases, or for certain schools, you would need to request an official copy. It's just, sometimes there's actually a fee for that. It's just, really, it is just a more official copy. They're basically exactly the same. It's just kind of maybe there's an extra signature on it, extra stamp, something. Some of them are just kind of, I guess it's partly has to do just with the ease of access to it. So for example, if you were enrolled in Seton Home Study School, there is going to be a fee to send an official transcript. It's something you'd have to go through parchment, and the registrar would have to sign off on it and everything, and it'd be a special stamp, and it would get sent either through parchment or maybe mailed securely or whatever. An unofficial copy, you could just go in and view it yourself and upload that print off, something yourself, and send it to us. So that kind of gives you an example of this. Hopefully that answers your question. Do you accept AP scores? Yes, we do, up to a couple if you have a high enough score on them. If my teachers uploaded recommendation letters into Common App, will we see those, or do they need to send them to you guys directly? So again, yeah, Common App, we wouldn't see that just because we don't accept the Common App. So they would need to, you need to send them our specific form, and then they would need to fill that out and submit that to us. And if they did still want to use the ones, again, if you wanted to submit those as additional letters, totally fine, but we would need you to send them to us because we won't see them there. Are scholarship test score thresholds still based on super scores? Yes. Yes. So again, send in as many score points as you have, and your super score is the one that we'd be going off of when we assign scholarships. If you earn a state grant, will Christendom accept that? Yes, absolutely. So any outside scholarships, we encourage you to apply for as many outside scholarships as you can. And any of those can come in. They don't in any way affect your other aid or scholarships or anything. They would stack on top of other scholarships you receive from us. So absolutely. One thing to note is that our scholarships, doesn't matter how many you stack up, none of them will go towards room and board. So the max amount of aid you could receive is full tuition, which is obviously tremendous. But room and board would still remain an expense. Outside scholarships, however, can be applied towards room and board. So again, go for as many outside scholarships as you can. Is there an email my teachers would send recommendation letters to? Yes, you can either, again, if you're using our templates, it's something that they, when they submit, it would just come directly to us. Otherwise, you can either have them send them to admissions@christendom.edu or again, to your admissions counselor. If we submit everything by the October 1st deadline, when should we expect to hear about our admissions status? By November, definitely by November. So we will be reviewing that. We don't start reviewing actually until October 1st. So as many applications as are completed by October 1st, we're going to sit down and review just a whole bunch of them right after that deadline. So for sure you would hear back by November 1st. Do we accept dual credit? Yes, occasionally. Well, I shouldn't say occasionally. Yes, we do. It depends on the course. So it's tricky to transfer credits into the core curriculum just because, for example, you're taking a history course at a community college. Okay, that's going to cover a dramatically different material than a history course would cover here at Christendom. So it kind of depends on the course. It can be tricky to transfer humanities type courses into our core curriculum, but math and science, foreign languages, those things usually transfer in pretty well, and other things could transfer as general electives. So it is something that is just kind of done on a case-by-case basis. And if you send us transcripts, we can communicate with our academic dean. He's the one who would make the final decision there, and we can get back with you on that. All right, and when do you expect my acceptance decision? Again, it'll be by November 1st. If, oh, I'm sorry, when do you expect your acceptance decision if you are admitted? Great question. So we expect an initial deposit by February 15th, but that deposit is fully refundable up until May 1st, actually. So May 1st is kind of the definite cutoff because, right, if you're down to 1 or 2 schools and Christendom's one of them, then you can go ahead and make the deposit. And again, it's fully refundable. So you basically at that point, you're just keeping the door open for yourself, right? We want you to keep the door open. If you're at all interested, apply. Fill out a need-based aid application if you want to do that. Make your deposit, and that way you just kind of have that option there. If you know Christendom is going to be one of your top considerations. So May 1st is a hard cutoff, but there's a deposit deadline of February 15th. If you don't make that refundable deposit, which is $500, by February 15th, then at that point your spot would be offered to another student. So I guess kind of a couple different deadlines there. What is the most recent income tax year return that will be required for school year 23-24? If this is in reference to the need-based aid application, it would be based on last year's tax forms. What are the admission parameters relative to receiving outside scholarships? So if I understand that question correctly, again, any outside scholarships are very welcome, very encouraged, and that would stack on top of any aid or scholarships that you're receiving from Christendom. If a score was already sent from CLT, do we submit it through here again? No. So if you already had the CLT, send us your score report and we received that, then we will upload it there and you should see it there, hopefully fairly soon if it's not yet. Does a final and official homeschool transcript need to be notarized? No. So we do want to see towards the end of your senior year. Obviously, if you've applied, been accepted, you're planning on coming, we are going to want to see your final transcript complete with 12th grade, but it does not need to be notarized. No. Where would we input information like honor societies? Go ahead and put that in the extracurriculars, actually, in your application form. If I go to boarding school, will I get a letter sent if I'm admitted? And if so, where could I enter the address for my school? That's a great question. So that's something that I would probably just say, talk to your admissions counselor directly there. We can make a note of that, enter, get both addresses for you and make a note of that you would prefer to receive any mailings at the address of your school. The school address will be entered in actually already on the application form. Under the school information part, we do ask for the address of your school, so we would already have that. It would just be basically notifying us that that's where you want to be mailed things. How long does it take for SAT test scores to be sent to the college after having sent one? So the time between requesting the SAT, the College Board to send your scores, and us actually receiving them, usually a few weeks. Kind of depends for the SAT. The ACT takes the longest. CLT usually just takes maybe a day. But the SAT can take a week or so. I submitted a campus visit application request and have confirmed the days I will be there. On the application form, I don't recall there. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, if you have a request and you already submitted the visit request form, just let your admissions counselor know and I will get back with you. I can definitely take care of that for you and just let Ms. Sasha Siski know that you have that request. Okay, got that one. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you guys again. Oh, we do have one more question. Let's see. Can you discuss what the criteria are for the listed academic scholarships Padre Pio weekend? Good question. Okay, so primary academic scholarships are the ones that are based off of test scores. But for the Padre Pio scholarship, yeah, basically that is an event that we are going to be hosting on, I want to say it's April 6th this year. It'll be a Saturday event. It consists of an interview and an essay writing competition. Takes place on campus. This is not something that could be done remotely. And you're judged on both those two components together. We're going to be giving out 3 full tuition scholarships and 5 runner-up scholarships of $5,000 a year each. And we do have limited space on this. So to qualify, you would need qualifying test scores, which is actually the same threshold as the Dean's Scholarship. And then at that point, you'd be welcome to apply for it. So we're still kind of figuring out the particulars on what is all going to be, I guess, the criteria as far as, you know, if a ton of people have qualifying scores, exactly like what it's going to look like. We're still figuring those details out. But basically, you would have qualifying scores, then you could apply, and it would be on a Saturday in April. consisting of an essay and an interview. So hopefully that answers your question. And there are usually, good question, 80 to 100 people. I think last year we had just over 80 competitors in the Padre Pio competition. Is the Padre Pio essay based on a work of literature? You would receive a reading. It would be sent out to all participants a week or two before, and then you would be given a prompt. Like when you sat down to actually write your essay, the day of the competition, you'd be given a prompt based off that reading. So you'll get the reading ahead of time, but you wouldn't know the prompt until the last minute. And it is a one-day event. All right, and we're gonna close down here. If there are, okay, one more question, let's see. Rough estimate of how many applications will be accepted for fall of 24. We honestly don't know. Certainly we're expecting, a couple hundred, but it can vary so much year to year. So just depends. You have a much stronger chance of getting in though as a summer program participant if you apply by October 1st, because it doesn't matter how many applications we've received for students who didn't attend the summer program. Doesn't matter how many we received. We are not looking at theirs until we have made decisions for all summer program participants. So if you apply by October 1st, we're going to look at you guys before anybody else. So great question. But if you can apply by October 1st, it really boosts your chances here. All right. Thank you guys so much for logging in here. Again, hopefully we're going to see you for a bunch more webinars coming up. But I just want to close here with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, thank you so much, guys. Hope to see you back here again this fall.